Hello, and I am back, and today is day 2, and I'm going to show you how to make the pâte à choux dough for your mini eclairs or cream puffs. All right, so let me just recap day 1. We made our pastry cream. All right, so we had put that in a bag. Just a little suggestion: when you are putting it in a bag, I would take the baggie, put it in a bowl, and then pour the pastry cream into there. It's much easier. I thought about that after the fact, but it is in there. It is cooling. You will cool it overnight, so it'll be nice and firm for when you're going to assemble on day 3. All right. If you have time after you make the pastry cream to mise en place for the pâte à choux dough, it would be helpful, but it's not necessary. But your teacher may encourage you to pre-measure for that. Okay. So in the pâte à choux dough, and say it with me, pâte à choux. It is a puff dough, and it will rise. And the reason why it will rise is because of 2 things: steam and the egg. Okay, so we use egg to thicken our pastry cream and kind of stabilize it. And we're also using egg now as a leavener. So egg is used as a leavener in baking often. It's also as a binder. So we are using our egg for that. The pâte à choux dough is similar. If you've ever made churro dough, it's very similar to that. All right, so same thing. We're going to use a medium-sized saucepan and our induction burner. So I'm going to turn that on. All right, and to that, okay, I am going to heat up 1 cup of water. All right into there. Okay, and then I am going to add in a 1/2 cup of butter, which is equivalent to one stick of butter. And again, you want it to be butter and not margarine. All right, I'm going to add that all into there. All right. And again, I'm all pre-measured. I'm going to be handling this a lot more, so that's why I put on my gloves. You should always be wearing gloves. I'm serving this to no one, which is why I didn't put my gloves on in the pastry cream, but I should have. To that, I am going to add a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Salt balances out flavors, kind of controls it. So salt is always added in small amounts. Then I'm also going to add in 2 teaspoons of sugar. This is going to help with a little bit of flavor, but mainly the sugar in this pâte à choux dough is going to help with golden brown color when we bake our dough. Right? So what we're going to do is we are going to just melt our butter. As I'm melting my butter, I have ready my flour. I'm going to be adding in 1 cup of flour. All right. So I'm going to, and the reason for the flour is for structure. All right. And then we're going to be adding in whole eggs. All right. So in this recipe, the egg is a binder and it's a leavener. Okay. You're going to add eggs 1 at a time. So I did not pre-crack them because I'm going to add them directly to the pan and essentially cook it without scrambling. So that will be fun. So we'll see how that happens. You also on this day are going to have a sheet pan because you're actually going to be baking these. All right. On that same day you make the dough, you're going to need a piping bag to pipe out your dough. So you'll need some scissors that you will cut to your bag. All right. So my butter is just about melted, and you want it completely melted. All right. And so you see it gets steamy. All right. Always clean as you go. All right. So this is getting nice and steamy. You don't want it to fully boil. You really are just waiting for that butter to melt. All right. And the reason why you want to use real butter is it creates more of a steam rather than the margarine that has hydrogenated oils in it. All right. So you can see all that foam getting nice and beautiful there. All right. I'm using a wooden spoon just so it doesn't burn. All right. So once it is all melted, which it is, we are going to remove this from the heat. All right. And you are going to add all of the flour at once, and you're going to stir vigorously. So that means you want it really combined. All right. You're doing this off the heat just so none of that, it will clump more if it's on the heat. So this will let you well combine it well, right? You don't want to see any dry particles. So you really need to stir, 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 stir. So we're essentially just making sure all of that flour is combined and it's like a paste. All right. Now what you're going to do is you're going to put it back on the heat. And now we're going to keep stirring it vigorously. And now we're actually going to try to cook out as much of the moisture as possible. Okay. And the reason why you want to cook out the moisture is because you're going to be adding the moisture back in with eggs, but that's going to help leaven it. So you want to kind of dry this out. How do you know if it's drying out? It's going to develop like a skin, and you're going to see some of the, the flour sticking to the bottom of the pan. All right. And you're going to hear it. It's going to smell very buttery. Okay. Almost like a nutty smell, which is normal. Okay. But you're going to want to keep stirring it to get rid of as much of that moisture as possible. I would say that when it starts, making a ball and sticking to the pan, it's probably most of the moisture is out. But I like the students, I encourage them to do it for about 2 minutes before adding in the egg, because I've had success with that. So I would say about 2 minutes. All right. So I'll be right back and show you what we're going to do next. Hi, and we are back, and you can see here's my dough, and there's a little bit of a film on the bottom, and that just means it was sticking, so it's pretty good. And we're ready to incorporate our first 2 eggs. So we're adding the moisture back in. So I have my 2 eggs. I'm going to add them directly to this, and then I am going to stir vigorously. Okay. So the eggs in this is going to help bind the dough together, and then it's also going to leaven. I've said it multiple times because we really want you to understand the function of ingredients, and it's really cool how multifunctional eggs are. Okay. So it's going to start kind of, it's hard to get that egg incorporated at first, so you're just going to keep kind of rotating it around and mix, 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 stir as vigorously. The more you stir, you can see it's starting to come together. It's going to loosen it up. It's going to make it a little bit more glossy, just like so. All right. And you can see it's adding some of that moisture back. I did not scramble my eggs, so we are good to go. And it's drying it out. It's dry a little again, which means, oh, good. I still have a lot of space for my next 2 eggs. Okay. So I'm going to put my next 2 eggs in here, just because if I put them in there directly, I'm afraid it might scramble them. So I'm just going to add them here. So to save on the time, I add it right back to here. And then just like before, we're going to stir vigorously. So I'll be right back, and I'll show you how you're going to pipe these for assembly. Okay, for baking. So I am back, and I finished incorporating those last 2 eggs. So you can see it's a little bit more pourable, loose, etc., which is what you want. Now you're going to take a disposable piping bag, and I'm just going to fold over like so over a bowl. Okay. I'm going to put my dough right into there. This will make it easier so it doesn't get all sloppy all over the place. I would suggest this is how I kind of verbally explain to you how to put your pastry cream into the baggie. Works the same way. Then you can do it on your own while your partner starts cleaning or whatever else needs to get done for the day. All right, so you're going to put that right into your bag. All right, you want every last one. These are actually really good, especially with the cream. And you're going to do a chocolate frosting that goes on the top. So now I am good to go, just like so. All right, so here we go. Okay. So you have 2 options, okay? And a mini eclair, like you've all had a long john, okay? So a long john is the same as an eclair, okay? But the difference between a long john and eclair is an eclair is filled, long john is not. So we're making them mini. So you can make mini eclairs, or you can do a cream puff, which is a circle. Okay, I'm going to show you both. All right, so you're going to take your scissors, and the thing is a lot of times kids will cut this, but it's not thick enough. So it just, when they pipe it, it just looks very thin. It doesn't puff as much. So I like to do it a little thicker, about 3/4 to about an inch, 3/4 of an inch to an inch. All right. So I'm going to do that. So you can see, just like so. Make sure your scissors are sharp. Now, when you're piping this, if you use these piping bags, you can even use a baggie. There's usually like a line, and that sometimes shows the line on here. So just be careful of how you're piping it out. All right. This will make about 12 of them. All right. So when you're piping it, okay, start pressing and then press and glide. Just like so. And then to stop it, you just press in. Okay. So press, make sure it's the thickness you want before you continue. All right, you want them about 2 to 3 inches thick, and then press. All right, I'm gonna do one more as an eclair like this. This is for the shape for a mini eclair, and like that. All right, now if you want it to be a cream puff, you are going to make a circle like so. And then go like that. Okay. Circle. And then go like that. Okay. You could also be a little bit more creative, make it more flat. Mine are going like that. You can press it in if you don't want that coming up. Okay. Again, these will really just puff. They really don't spread. Okay. You're going to bake these in your oven for 375 for about 15 minutes. So I'm going to continue piping. I will bake them. I'll show you what they look like when they are done. Thank you.